Bora pedir logo 99? Daqui a pouco o show já vai começar.
Tô pedindo aqui já.
Pede e já negocia, hein?
Negocia? Ué, como assim?
99 negocia, ué. Agora a gente pode negociar com os motoristas parceiros da 99, direto pelo aplicativo.
Mentira! Que babado! Para negociar o preço da sua corrida, a 99 é o melhor negócio. Tenha corridas com mais autonomia e segurança. Experimente o 99 Negocia hoje mesmo. Abra o app e confira.
Quando uma longa noite de inverno cai sobre o Alasca, 6 pessoas desaparecem sem deixar vestígios. Desvende esse mistério com Jodie Foster e Kaylee Reese. Numa história completamente nova de True Detective. Com um novo episódio todo domingo na HBO Max. True Detective Terra Noturna. Assista na HBO Max.
Pensou em churrasco, pensou Pão de Açúcar, que é tão especializado que vai até dar dicas para fazer de você um churrasqueiro de primeira. A de hoje é sobre o carvão. Para grelhar suas carnes, é preciso no mínimo 1 hora de contato dele com o fogo. Quando ele ganhar uma coloração branca, é sinal que a brasa está pronta para receber a carne. Outra dica, o incrível bife ancho Bassi, macio e muito suculento. É sucesso no fogão ou na churrasqueira. Visite nosso site e garanta tudo o que precisa.
Welcome back, Ram fans. This is Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are proud members of the Fans First Sports Network. That's fansfirstsports.com. You can also follow us on YouTube. Our channel is at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. You'll hear from my co-host, Tom, on occasion as well. Hey, we're not Rams insiders. We're just longtime fans who love talking about our Los Angeles Rams. Let's get to it.
Welcome to another edition of the Rams Up Roundtable. I'm your host, Tom, at Rams Beat on Twitter, and joined today by my co-host on Rams Up Podcast, Mark, as well as our regular guests, Ian and Paul. Welcome, everybody. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good here.
Doing good. Happy Friday. And Rams are changing as we speak, man. The team will be very different in 2024, right, gentlemen? Crazy.
That's right. Yeah. A lot of changes. Paul, how's it going out there on the East Coast?
Fantastic out here on Strong Island, locking it down. Shout out to Raheem Morris, right, who coached out here at Hofstra. So
that's it. Well, that's a good lead into our first topic. Raheem Morris taking the head coaching job for the Falcons for a second time, right? He was an the interim head coach out there temporarily. They didn't retain him, and now he goes back and is the contracted head coach. So, let's talk about that. I mean, congrats to him. Obviously, all the players, coaches, GMs, the entire league endorsed him and is happy for him, including Les Snead and Sean McVay. So we don't have to get onto that. But I guess the question before us all is, who is our new defensive coordinator, right? Sean leads heavily on that. Obviously, Sean is in charge of the offense, but when it comes to the defense, it's very important to have a strong defensive coordinator. So some of the candidates, everybody, let's throw out who's your top candidate and maybe an alternate. Ian, lead us off.
Oh, golly, man. I mean, isn't it insane? Real quick, isn't it insane how much this coaching staff turns over year after year after year? And we're having this conversation every offseason, it feels like. And maybe not with the coordinator position on defense. Raheem has been here since 2021, the championship season. But every other spot, dang, man, it's just crazy. And I think, luckily, Coach McVay has done a pretty good job of eyeing position coaches other than the 2022 season with some people that probably didn't deserve to be coordinators, like Liam Cohen. Let's just be real about that. That didn't work out well. His responsibilities were never really told and or defined. And it just kind of felt like even players, they wouldn't talk bad about him, but it just kind of felt like, meh, not like how they talked about Kevin, not like how they've talked about Matt LaFleur. And to Raheem about his replacement, I mean, whew, Coach McVay is not going to promote anybody. I think we can all can agree on that, right? That's very unlikely. I mean, he said it himself. He likes people from the outside with outside perspective to add to the Rams' general knowledge of their team. More ideas, more conflicting ideas make the team better. And that's what he likes to do defensively. That's why he's never promoted anybody in-house. And I think he's probably going to do the same thing, right, gentlemen? He's going to hire somebody from the outside. That's what
Any
I
thoughts
feel.
on any names?
Yeah. And with names, I mean, it's a tough one, man. I mean, there's a lot of names being thrown around, which I'm not familiar with. But I do like Denard Wilson, the Ravens secondary coach. He's coached
Fantastic.
a top secondary multiple years in a row now with Baltimore. He's been endorsed by Harbaugh, saying he's a future great DC in the National Football League. And ironically, I think his style of defense that he's coaching up with his corners fits what we were doing this season. Match zone. It's perfect. It's a perfect, segue into the 3-4 defense that we currently run. And luckily, Ravens also run a 3-4 base defense. So real quick, anybody who doesn't know what match zone is, it's basically zone coverage. You have your area you're supposed to defend, but once a pass catcher that you're supposed to defend comes in your area, you got to attack him like it's man-to-man immediately. And that's what we did about, 80% of the time this season, the Rams defense. So I think he would be a cool name and a cool coach. Ravens players love him. Head coach, organization endorses him. Now, is he ready for that moment? Who knows? Maybe we'll interview him. Maybe we don't. Hopefully we do get interviewed. Obviously, they're on their championship run right now, so that'll have to probably wait. But him, obviously, Evero, who was a former Ram who we did not promote, and he's gone on to be pretty dang good with two organizations that were on fire, right? Think Denver Broncos last season when, the first year with Russ, where it was a disaster. And, head coach gets fired middle of the season. His team was still on his side of the ball defensively top 10, and they're performing. Then, obviously, he moves on to Carolina. Another disaster situation. Head coach gets canned. His defense is still teetering in the top 10 with, multiple players being in and out of the lineup due to injury. And he runs a 3-4 as well. I think that'd be cool to get, Jiro Evero back here in the building. Those are my top two guys.
Yeah, no, that he's obviously a DC. That'd be a lateral move, and I think Carolina's blocking him from.
Are they? I haven't heard that. I don't think their new coach has made any announcements with his staff of what they want to do. And I mean, if he's smart, they probably keep him. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah.
But those are my top two guys. Look at
trying to extract a draft pick out.
And I know people are going to listen and hear this and be like, "Why not Brandon Staley?" Look at the Rams are going to interview him on Tuesday or Wednesday. This is official from Albert Breer, who is well connected. He's going to go interview with Green Bay today, Miami on Sunday, Monday, and then with us Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's very possible he comes back. But look at guys. Look at if this is any of your guys' pick, no disrespect to it. The dude, look at he coached an all-star team on defense in 2020. Let's just keep it real. Jalen Ramsey, Darius Williams was a Pro Bowl corner. We had John Johnson playing like a Pro Bowler, Young Fuller, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Greg Gaines, Ashawn Robinson. That was a stacked defense. Let's just be real about it. Okay. Yes, was the Chargers defense not as talented? Yes, they were not. But, man, they look clueless all the time. That's coaching. Is there a skill level discrepancy? Sure, but knowing your job and being bought in. I mean, guys, no tackling at the end of the games, his last games as coach, poor effort. That's a coaching thing, and that's not good, man. I don't know if we want to bring that bad juju, that Charger juju, back to the Rams. Let's just be honest about it.
Ian with the preemptive strike on anybody who wants to mention Brandon Staley. Don't tread there. We'll go to Paul next. Paul, who's your candidate? What are your thoughts on this? And then who's your candidate for DC for the Rams?
So I mean, there are a couple of guys I really like out there. I love the D-back coach from the Ravens. I think he'd be a fantastic fit, right? Denard Wilson, I think, just love the job that he's done there. Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do also when you take a look at the Rams roster, right? What's the strength of the Rams defense right now? It's D-line, right? It's D-line, right? It's definitely not secondary.
Yeah, definitely
Right?
not secondary.
Definitely not
True.
secondary.
It's
And
not.
they haven't emphasized linebackers over the last 2 years. So
You could make a case that Ernest Jones is
yeah,
different. Yeah, but yeah,
absolutely. But he's there by himself. So
right.
I would say that if you're going to go somewhere and the personality of the defense is going to come from the D line, so somebody like Anthony Weaver from the Ravens, I think would be a great fit. Right? He's also got, I think he's the associate. He's got an associate coaching position there as well. So he's been able to take on a lot of the structural responsibility. I think he'd be a great fit, and that's something that McVay needs. He needs somebody that's not only going to be able to take over the defense, but be able to say, all right, we have this part of the game plan. You handle your end of it. Like almost when they had Wade Phillips there, right? So that's why I like Weaver. I like Jerry Gray, not only because he was a former Rams defensive back. I think it's a great story, right? I think Raheem Morris is going to keep him, though. I don't think he's going to let him leave, but I think he'd be a great fit for the Rams. Once again, also bringing to the table not just coaching defense, but also I think he's also got associate coach responsibilities.
Gotcha. Good candidate. Mark, who are your thoughts on replacements for Raheem?
Well, the first thing I have to consider is, are they going to stick with the same style of defense? And I was originally leaning towards Aubrey Pleasant, but I think Ian may have blown that up. And you're probably right, Ian. They're probably not going to promote from within. And then there's the three Ravens coaches, including the secondary coach you guys talked about. Those would probably be my first two picks. And it crossed my mind, it's probably not a good fit. And he has a little bit of an odd history, but Wink Martindale's out there. If you wanted to go really aggressive, more of an aggressive style defense.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the only reason I considered him, and I'm just, throwing darts at a board, who knows? But the fact that, but McVay has been more willing to change things up, right? I think when they went from Staley to Morris, they made a decision to stick with the same defensive philosophy. Maybe he's ready to change it up and go with someone like Martindale, but I don't think that's going to happen. But that's a name out there that's just a little bit intriguing. But after that, I'm just guessing, throwing names out there. That's what I have to say about it, though.
Yeah. Can I throw out one more name? I like Shane Bowen from the Titans. I think he'd be a great DC for the Rams. Shane Bowen, what I really liked when he was there with the Titans is that the way he related to the players. Right, I think he'd be a good fit for the Rams too.
And one other last word on that. I don't know if you guys heard. I read an article somewhere, came up in my feed, that Aaron Donald was suggesting they try to bring Henderson back from his USC commit. I don't even know if that's possible, but Aaron Donald's probably being a little selfish there. He wants his guy back.
Hey, now that's a great idea, though. I mean, the Rams, I don't know what kind of contract he probably has signed a contract.
The NFL coordinator pay will be better than USC co-coordinator pay. Let's just be real. But to your point, Mark, about the McVay train of thought and what I was, adding to what I said earlier. Chime in, gentlemen, please. Do we all really believe that he's going to abandon the Fangio way of defense? Let's just be real. I don't think so. And I think if he brings in somebody from an outside organization, just like Raheem, he's going to say, hey, this is the way I like it. Obviously, you have your spin on it, but this is how I want my defense to be played. Because, guys, when Fangio kicked the shit out of our offense and team back in 2018, it changed McVay's philosophy of defense forever. And then it made it even crazier when Belichick kicked our ass in the Super Bowl. That Fangio schematics and the way of attacking an offense. And he's been, he's been in love with that style of defense since 2018. And, I just think it would be cool to see some new ideas, which obviously Raheem did and Staley did and so forth and yada, yada, yada. And so does every coordinator that comes in. But I think even if we get these Ravens guys or Wink comes in, I think he's going to bend their wills to match his more than what they want to do. I just feel like that's going to be the scenario. Because he loves that Fangio style of defense. He loves it. And it
makes sense.
It's worked. But
Yeah.
Who knows? It'd be good to get some Raven style of, of thinking in. That would be my choice. But I think regardless, I think it's going to be the Fangio-esque leading the yin and yang bubble, right? More yin of Fangio than yang of somebody else's.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next topic, which is we now have a Harbaugh in town in LA. So Jim Harbaugh being hired by the Chargers. And let's let Paul lead off on this one. Paul, what are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh? Is he going to succeed with the Chargers? Is he going to make a difference? Is he going to it seems like all the talking heads out there think he's won everywhere, meaning like automatically, of course, he's going to win. He has a quarterback, one of the better situations of all the open coaching spots. Sounds like he got paid. And anyway, what are your thoughts on Harbaugh's future in LA?
So, first thing, shout out to Ann Arbor and the Wolverines for a great job. Coolest helmets in college football. Right?
A blue and yellow. It looks pretty good, don't it?
Yeah. Gotta love the wings, man. Gotta love the wings, right? So, I love his brother as a head coach. I'm not a big fan. I just don't dig his personality. I just really don't. So I'm a little biased by that. But I will say
just to clarify, you don't dig John or Jim?
I like the Raven brother.
Okay, you like John's personality, but Jim's personality is too quirky.
No, he just turns me off. He rubs me the wrong way.
Gotcha.
So I think, for example, the job he's done at the Ravens, I think he's just an underrated coach. We talked about it last time, right? Guy started out special teams coach, right? Look where he is now. His teams consistently. And by the way, if the Ravens, I should say not if, but when the Ravens win the Super Bowl, that might put a little thought into McVay's head about bringing a wrinkle over from a championship team, right?
Yeah.
So just throwing it out there, right. Anthony Weaver, right? So having said that, we'll talk about walking into a great situation. Holy cow. Harbaugh walks into a great situation, right? I think he's got a great quarterback. I think he's got an underrated quarterback. I think that quarterback can win, can throw for not just a ton of yards, can be just a game breaker, just loaded with talent. I don't think the roster is as bad as people are saying. I think they can definitely tweak it here and there. I think he's in a great situation. I think the fan base is solid. So, I mean, look, if he can't do it there, he's not going to be able to do it anywhere in the NFL. But I will say this, winning in college is very different than winning in the NFL. We have the track record to prove that, right? So,
yes, indeed.
So what's your prognostication is that he is going to succeed or not succeed?
I think he'll be back in college football within 3 years.
Oh, okay.
That'd be hardcore.
All right.
Imagine that.
All right.
But
here we go.
That'd be crazy.
Mark, give us your thoughts on the Harbaugh project.
Well, it's funny that what Paul says about his personality. I've never really been a big fan of him when he was at Stanford. You remember the little tiff he had with Pete Carroll, who's like the opposite, of a total opposite personality of Harbaugh. And with the 49ers, there's something about him that's just a little off-putting to me. But I think it's what the Chargers need right now. I think they need a stabilizing force, a guy that is going to be respected in the locker room the minute he walks in, and they're going to get their act together. I think the problem with coaches like Harbaugh is it kind of had the same reaction when the Lions hired Dan Campbell. Does that wear on the players after a while? That hard-ass approach. And I think it did with Harbaugh in San Francisco, and we've seen it elsewhere. But then they can succeed as well. So we'll see. I think it's a good hire, but I don't know if it's kind of like, I guess I'd second what Paul says. I don't know if it's necessarily a long-term, going to be a long-term marriage there, but I think he has a good chance of getting that franchise pointed in the right direction again.
Yeah, good thoughts. Ian?
Yeah, I think it's going to work. And I look at what do I want to say is working or what works? I mean, they're going to have a winning record. They're going to probably compete for the West immediately. And guys, we just got to keep it real. I know what Paul is saying about his personality and the things. He is an interesting human. He just is. But that semi-quirky militaristic attitude, it produces winning programs. Jesus, man. I mean, he was at San Diego at the head coach, not San Diego State with the Aztecs, San Diego football. They flipped it from disaster program to double-digit wins. Goes to Stanford, who Stanford was awful my entire young life, and flipped that into winning championships or Pac-12 championships and so forth. Goes to our rival San Fran, who were a dumpster fire my whole young life as well, and then flips them into a powerhouse. Goes to Michigan, who were on fire, flips them. I mean, we just got to follow the trend. I think he's going to turn the Chargers around. Are they going to win a championship? I probably don't think so. I think the AFC is way too stacked, but I think he's going to get Justin Herbert to play good, efficient football. I think they're going to be probably tougher, more physical. They're going to play more smash mouth football that will travel well, that'll beat up on teams that are more finesse, more skilled than just straight grit, like how we played this season and other teams. I think it's going to work for a while. How long? Like, to what you guys are saying, I don't know what the shelf life would be. It's probably not going to be too long, but San Fran had a history of great coaches and all that, so they can be like, oh, it doesn't work with you, we'll find another. Chargers keep blowing it with decent coaches, and they keep blowing it with good teams. So I think they're going to try to make this work for as long as possible, right? And if I'm not mistaken, they haven't hired an official GM, right? Because we already know Jim is going to be the Belichickian de facto GM, which is what they didn't want to do with him in San Fran, which is why he was like, I'm out. So I think they're going to try to make it work as long as Jim wants to stick around, because, guys, they're the younger brother. They're the stepchild. They pay rent to us in that stadium. Like, they need juice and they need continuity and longevity to stay afloat.
Yeah,
so I think it's
good on Spanos, though, for actually spending some money, because he didn't come cheap, right? I mean, he did not come cheap. We all know that. I mean, it's hard to get these numbers on the NFL coaches, but we're talking probably 12 to 15 at least, with lots of bonuses attached.
And real quick, Tom, just thinking about it, I mean, Herbert's kind of in that sub Detroit Lion Matthew Stafford kind of category of, we know he's uber talented. Can he win anything important? I mean, we think mega cannon arm, and obviously, Herbert's still a young guy. He hasn't put 12 years in with the same team yet, but he's kind of in that floating category now with, everyone having a pod, everyone having an opinion. We weren't hearing everybody's opinion back when Stafford was a young guy. So I feel like it's good for the quarterback and good for the organization and team, because he's hovering in that realm of like ultra talented, can't win crap. Feels like a Stafford situation, but I feel like it'll be elevated by a coach who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, two thoughts on my two thoughts on Harbaugh are, number one, that he's not going to win right away. I mean, they are going to have to go through a rebuild. They are old and they are in cap hell, and they got a Mike Evans is a torn knee and his knee's torn up, and it just goes on. I'm not going to go through their entire situation, but Khalil Mack's in his contract year, and they're going to trade Bosa or Mack or both. I mean, they're going to have to offload salary. They're going to have to. They have the terrible J.C. Jackson salary contract that they had to offload. Derwin James is not producing like the number one safety in the league that they paid him to be. He's just he's not Jalen Ramsey in the star, and it just goes on and on and on. Look at all their high price contracts. They don't have a running back that fits Harbaugh's scheme. I mean, Austin Eckler is not, the power runner that Harbaugh wants, and he just goes. So they're going.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
There's going to be a reset year here, and he's going to go load up on that front. I mean, they do have a good offensive line. They got Slater, who's solid, and they got a good offensive line, but they're going to have to reinforce that. They're going to reinforce their run game and establish that, and then they're going to have to turn to their defense and start to build that. It's going to take, certainly not 1 year, and certainly not, probably not 2 years. It's going to be a little bit of a rebuild in his image. And, those Harbaugh guys, they are some of the, have the reputation of some of the toughest guys in the league. And, and they have been through that, they have succeeded. So that, that's number one. But my other thought on Harbaugh is I am just not sold on the CEO head coach in the NFL. right? Forever, it's been the guys that there was the Belichicks who were the defensive, the prototypical guys that were crafting the defense and then bringing in their offensive guy like McDaniels but now we're seeing this, Harbaugh on the other hand has been a good CEO head coach with the Ravens, but he's always lacked that super talented offensive coordinator, right? And they've always had a run-of-the-mill guy. I feel like we see it with Sirianni, the CEO head coach. What the fuck? I'm sorry to cuss on our podcast, Mark, but what the fuck does that guy do? Like, what is your job? I mean, what's your job? And so it's like, and if you do hire somebody good, like last year, with Gannon and Steichen, they get picked off immediately, and then you're fucked again, and you're starting over. So, like, the CEO
I think, and speaking of that, to Tom, I think Lions are in that too.
I'm going to finish my rant. The CEO head coach, I'm not sold on it. Dan Campbell, I'm sorry, you're going to lose your offensive coordinator, and this shit ain't going to look the same without Ben Johnson. I'm sorry. So, it's a fun concept. I don't know how this is going to work in the NFL for Harbaugh for those reasons. And if somebody can pull it off, I mean, Harbaugh in Baltimore has sort of pulled it off, but he really hasn't gotten over the finish line yet. And if you do get over the finish line, it might not be sustainable. So anyway, that's my rant on CEO head coaches. Go ahead.
Now tell us how you really feel, Tom.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm glad I got that off my chest.
No, yeah, I was just gonna you tagged into it about Campbell and the Lions. I think they fall into that, and I think just the CEO head coaches. I mean, I will, Ravens Harbaugh. I mean, he's done a great job. His teams have always been competitive, always played tough. They've cycled through many different iterations of the roster, personnel, coaches, and they've always been good competitive. So I think he's probably the true CEO head coach that actually works. If he's won a championship, hopefully they win a championship this year. They could beat either the Niners or the Lions for us, right? That'd be good. And I just think, I agree with everything. It's a hard, tough gig to just be the overseer. You gotta call plays in some capacity, I think. And who knows? He might, for Herbert, he might do it. But
you call fake punts. You call going for it on fourth down. You call going for 2 from the 7-yard line. Yeah, you do all
executive
sorts of
decisions.
You get to call. I mean, that's the thing with Campbell. He's so emotional, and he's like, I get to call 5 plays a game, and I'm gonna go for it on all of So anyway,
I know. And I think real quick, big picture, how does this all affect the Rams? Yeah, I guess I guess our games every couple years in preseason or every preseason and every 3-4 years in the NFL. I guess those will be a little more fun. I guess that's really it. Rams Nation, we're LA. Come on,
LA. The Rams are LA, and the Chargers are the Chargers are the Mets. People call them the Clippers. They're not the Clippers. The Chargers are the Mets of LA football. So, all right, we're gonna move on to the next.
So
topic.
The San Diego ratings just took a hit, right? That'll never be downloading this podcast, right? Okay.
No, they
I feel you, San Diego. I know you want your team back, man. I feel you out there.
No, I mean, it's a good hire. I mean, we never thought that. We thought they were going to hire the Staleys of the world, et cetera. But I mean, they go big. Congrats to Spanos for making a move, right? It is what it is. So, all right. Well, the next topic is the championship games. Let's start with the Ravens. We've talked a lot about on this podcast already, but let's talk about the matchup with the Chiefs. So, try and keep it brief, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Everybody gets a couple minutes. Mark, what are your thoughts on the who do you like and why in the Ravens-Chiefs matchup?
Bora pedir logo 99? Daqui a pouco o show já vai começar.
Tô pedindo aqui já.
Pede já negocia, hein?
Negocia? Ué, como assim?
99 negocia, ué. Agora a gente pode negociar com os motoristas parceiros da 99, direto pelo aplicativo.
Mentira! Que babado! Para negociar o preço da sua corrida, a 99 é o melhor negócio. Tenha corridas com mais autonomia e segurança. Experimente o 99 Negocia hoje mesmo. Abra o app e confira.
Quando uma longa noite de inverno cai sobre o Alasca, 6 pessoas desaparecem sem deixar vestígios. Desvende esse mistério com Jodie Foster e Kaylee Reese. numa história completamente nova de True Detective. Com um novo episódio todo domingo na HBO Max. True Detective Terra Noturna. Assista na HBO Max.
Pensou em churrasco, pensou pão de açúcar, que é tão especializado que vai até dar dicas para fazer de você um churrasqueiro de primeira. A de hoje é sobre o carvão. Para grelhar suas carnes, é preciso no mínimo 1 hora de contato dele com o fogo. Quando ele ganhar uma coloração branca, é sinal que a brasa está pronta para receber a carne. Outra dica, o incrível bife ancho Bassi, macio e muito suculento. É sucesso no fogão ou na churrasqueira. Visite nosso site e garanta tudo o que precisa.
Well, I feel like the Chiefs are kind of playing on borrowed time. I'm not even sure they deserve to be in this game, but hey, they've earned it. I just think the Ravens are on a mission with Lamar Jackson. They're not going to be denied. Both teams have really good defenses, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and Lamar Jackson's going to be the difference. He's just unstoppable at this point. And by the way, I was surprised to hear he gets his tight end back this weekend, Mark Andrews. So I'm rolling with the Ravens in a high-scoring game.
Sorry, I was on mute. Cool. Okay, so we got the Ravens for Mark and Paul. What are your thoughts on this game?
So it's sort of tough, man. Both running backs went to Rutgers. Isaiah Pacheco, Gus Edwards. Didn't they both go to Rutgers? So it's like, who do you pick?
Yeah.
Who do you pick?
I mean, what do you do? What do you do if you're in New Jersey? Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a great game, man. This is just a phenomenal game. Like, I'm actually interested in watching this game. Listen, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're the champs till you beat them. Bottom line. I just think Baltimore is just loaded on both sides of the ball, and defense wins championships, right? And you got Lambeau, Lamar. But you know what? If there's anybody that can steal a game, it's Mahomes, man. Mahomes gets hot. Dude is tough to stop, and he's clutch. So I looked, and they have a nice vibe on offense. They're not just finesse. They're nasty enough. And Pacheco just brings that blue collar lunch pail. Bring it to that offense. So it's a great game. It's a close game, but I think Lambeau Lamar has a great game too. Sort of offset the Mahomes magic, and I think the Ravens pull it out got the best field goal kicker, right? They pull it out by a field goal and they win it 31-28.
Wow. Good call. Ian.
Yeah, gentlemen, I mean, phew. Guys, we're witnessing history. Let's just keep it real. Mahomes, 6 years as a starter, 6 years being a Final Four quarterback, Final Four team, AFC Championship, 6 straight seasons. It's insane. It's insane, honestly. And God, they played so bad all year, and them just to turn it on like this is really remarkable. But I'm not shocked. Andy Reid's a Hall of Famer. You got a Hall of Fame tight end, Hall of Fame quarterback, Hall of Fame staff. I mean, let's just be honest. It's just A-plus organization, and they find ways to just pull things out of their butt and create magic. And here they are doing it again. And the Ravens team, man, I think player by player, they're better than Kansas City, but we see that all the time. That don't mean jack. Most times in the playoffs. We see teams blow number 1 seeds. We just saw it recently, a la Dallas, or 2 seed, excuse me. But I mean, gosh, I want to pick the Ravens, but oh my God, I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas City pulls this thing off. But I think this is how the Ravens do it. Let's just be honest.
So you're taking
Lamar needs to play. The Ravens need to win. Lamar needs to play mistake-free football. I think 1 turnover by him seals it for them, and they lose straight up,
So
or
what's your
a
pick?
fumble. So I think Ravens. I'm going nail biter. I'm going 33-30. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's just going to be to the wire. All Baltimore fans, first AAC championship in the city since Baltimore Colts. And I think they're going to be holding their breath, but I think Ravens pull it out just because I think the players make the plays when it's time to be their best.
So
but
Ravens
golly,
for
man.
Mark, Ravens for Paul, Ravens for Ian. And, in full disclosure, I have the biggest bet I've made in a long time, $500 at the beginning of the season with somebody that I said the Chiefs will not win the AFC. They won't make the Super Bowl. So I am rooting heavily for the Ravens.
Is that like buying a stock short? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that's I bought it. I don't know what it's like, but right now I didn't think it'd make it this far. Anyway, having said that, I'm putting back on my analyst cap, and $500 is not as much, if I go back to my finance days, as $1 billion. $1 billion is more than 500. $1 billion is the estimates on what the NFL will make on top of what they would otherwise make if it's a Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
So,
I know.
Now, what does the NFL do? Is it a rigged league? No, I don't believe it is. I don't. I'm not going to even go there. Some conspiracy people think it is. I've heard I'm going on a lot of betting podcasts or spaces and stuff on Twitter. The people that bet that way. But, however, what did the NFL? What can the NFL do to get their money? When we know it's a business, we know these guys aren't billionaires because they were not businessmen. These are not hobbies to them, right? These are not MLS teams or WNBA teams. These are businesses at the NFL level. So what would you do if you were Commissioner Goodell, who worked for 32 multi-billionaires? What would you do to try and get Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl?
You get the crew chief from the that did the officials for the Rams game.
No,
who don't know how to spot a ball.
No, you don't.
3 yards short of where the ball actually.
No, actually the opposite.
Yeah.
You get people who know what they're doing. You get people who are very skilled at their craft. You hire a crew chief named Sean Smith. Sean Smith is the crew chief who has the lowest winning percentage for the home team over the last 3 years of any crew chief by a mile. He is a crew chief when he's crew chief over the last 3 years, home team wins 40% of the time. Crazy. The next, we know home teams win more in the NFL, right? This guy is somehow a crew chief for over all of these games that he's played, 40%. That's what the NFL did. They chose Sean Smith's crew. So anyway.
Golly.
And you can read the rest of Tom's theory at conspiracytheory.com.
It's not conspiracies. This is facts. This is facts.
It's true, though.
The guy with the home team wins by far the lowest rate in so it's not a conspiracy. They're not fixing it. They're not doing anything. But I feel like they are doing everything they can. They want that game. They will make the money, and that's what they're trying to do. Now, they can't control it. It's going to play out how it is. I still think the Ravens are going to win despite this kind of thing. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and throw that out there. But
I know. Please, Baltimore. Please, Monken. 12 personnel. Mark Andrews is going to play. Mark Andrews likely. You have 2 starting tight ends. OBJ, Zay Flowers, and Gus Edwards, and let's just rock. And let's just hammer them talk and let's go. 12 personnel, give it to me. Let's end the game. I'll see you in the Super Bowl to beat the Niners or the Lions.
Now, the other thing you guys said was that it's going to be a high-scoring game. Everybody, I think you all said I think it's going to be a lower. I'll take the under. I like the idea that look what Andy Reid did last week, right? Look what he did. He went 12, 13 personnel, and he just pounded.
Yeah.
Paul's, Rutgers, Pacheco. It just was a bam, bam, bam. And furthermore, let's face it, the Chiefs are not a high-flying, high-scoring team. They are not a Tyreek Hill version of the Chiefs. They are a grinded-out team. This team has not scored a lot of points. And the Ravens also, they love to establish the run. They like to get ahead, and they like to run the ball. So I'm going with the under. I think it's going to be a long time of possession game for both sides of the ball. I think that's where these guys feel like they're going to win it. Who can Paul's Paul TOP. And so I think that's where both of these teams are at. And obviously the Ravens are known for running the game, establishing the run, whereas the Chiefs aren't, but that's what they have shifted into. So good on Andy Reid for understanding what he needs to do. So I'm liking a lower scoring game. I'm going to go Ravens 24, Chiefs 17. I mean, I'm just going to go a much lower scoring game, but good stuff. So anyway, a little bit more as a host. Sorry, been a little bit more.
No, Tom, we got to hear what you got to say. I like your fire today.
Yeah.
But Tom is not a Swiftie. Is that what we're getting at?
I don't have nothing against Taylor Swift. But this guy. I heard a guy come on. One of these spaces, and he says, "Man, I'm betting I'm following the money."
That's right.
I'm following the money. I'm betting on the Chiefs. I'm following the money, and this guy nailed everything. So I was like, "Geez, I don't know. Maybe he's right." So anyway, again, I don't think they rig it. I don't think they do anything, but I think they, will do whatever they can. Within the realm of what's legal and not controversial to get the outcomes that they would prefer from a marketability perspective. It's a business. They're not going to rig games or tell officials to do this or call games differently, but they can select officials that have a certain lack of bias or whatever they want to say. I mean, it's just it's part of the game. So, and we've seen it in baseball forever, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
the World Series.
Yeah, World Series. We've seen some pretty.
Please,
games.
Lamar, save us from Taylor Swift taking the flow out of the game.
But having said that, I mean, look, is there a better heavyweight matchup than Patrick Mahomes and Lamar in Jackson in this in the NFL? I mean, come on, Burrow or Allen. I mean, come on, let's face it. The biggest heavyweight bout that we could put together is these two guys, in my opinion. I mean, what are your thoughts? Who are the if you're doing a heavyweight bout, what's the prime time matchup that you want to see in a game of consequence between two quarterbacks? Ian, I mean, who's your heavyweight matchup right now?
I mean, I don't see how you can't choose these two guys.
Yeah,
Lamar and Mahomes. You got two MVPs, right?
Yeah,
good call. Insanely, freakishly alien quarterbacks for different reasons. And Lamar's obviously drastically improved throwing the football, but he's an alien with the running and the elusiveness and not getting hurt and not taking big hits. Like that's an alien skill set. Just all that. Yeah, Mahomes' is alien skill set of creating arm angles, throwing lefty, completing passes, and just backyard football that's scoring a zillion points and willing his undermanned team to another AFC championship. I mean, for this season, I'm sure the NFL, upstairs in their conspiracy room we're hoping to conspire, them to be the Super Bowl in some alternate reality, right? Like these two guys facing off.
Let's change the rules. Yeah.
I'm sure
it doesn't have to be NFC versus AFC.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, I think the winners from both brackets it'll still be an enjoyable Super Bowl.
Mark, what's your heavyweight matchup quarterbacks?
It's got to be those two, although, the problem with Josh Allen is that he never wins those big games. But hey, I'm sorry, Matthew Stafford's got to be on the next rung because he's the type of quarterback that he's just a gunslinger and he's so tough, so much fun to watch. He doesn't have that broader skill set like Jackson and Mahomes do. It's obviously those two, but don't discount the attraction. Matthew Stafford would be a fun deal in a big game like this. Especially if his team's down by 6 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I don't count out Stafford.
Yeah, our primary host on the Rams Up podcast reminding us that we are a Rams podcast. I like that.
I mean,
Way to bring us back to
yeah,
you're 100% right, and way to grab
yeah,
us
but
back.
watching Matthew Stafford this year as my adulation of him has increased tenfold. Just watching him play, the toughness, the arm angles he throws with, the way he makes his receivers so much better. You watch Puka and Cooper Kupp make these great catches for the last 2 years. Puka this last year and Cooper for the last 2 or 3 years. And how many times has he put the ball on the dime for his receivers? It's just incredible. He's just an incredible football player.
And gentlemen, real quick, and think about the broadcast our last game against the Lions, how they were saying, wow, look at those throws. That was very Mahomes-esque. I'm like, are you guys kidding me right now? Who was doing it before this dude was even in the NFL or at Texas Tech? Number 9 in the NFL was making those sidearm crazy laser beam throws.
Yeah, so, even Aaron Rodgers even said that when he did. Someone complimented Aaron Rodgers for his no-look pass, and he was like, "Hey, the Stafford dude has been doing it for 10 years. That's where I learned it."
Yeah. So I mean, shout out to Stafford. I'm ready for
Stafford
his.
Unfortunately,
he season coming up.
Yeah, nobody saw him for 10 years except for every now and then on Thanksgiving Day. Paul, who would be your 2 quarterbacks for the heavyweight matchup extraordinaire in the NFL?
I think the argument can be made that the Mahomes Lambeau Lamar matchup, I think, is right up there. Yeah, listen, I'm with Mark. I'm biased, man. So Optimus 9 all day, every day. But if there has to be a game, that doesn't include Optimus 9, then yeah, I'd go with Mahomes and Lamar. I love the fact that Lamar Jackson, after all the nonsense people have said about him for how many years, he gets a chance to shut him up. And I hope this kid does, man. I hope Lamar, man, just come out there, play your game, freewheel it, man. Do your thing, baby. The kid is electric, man. And the stuff that they have been saying about him for years has been unjustified. That kid has put that team on his back many times. We've all watched those games, right? And so I hope he gets a chance to exercise those demons. I hope he gets a chance to, go to the big dance and win it. I like him a lot. I love Mahomes. I think Mahomes is just clutch. I think Andy Reid, that is like a match made in heaven. Andy Reid and Mahomes. But going back to Mark's point, there's a reason that staff, Optimus 9, was the trigger man on so many records. Go ask Megatron, right? Go ask Puka. Go ask Coop. There's a reason this dude was the trigger man for those records. It doesn't just happen. So people can ignore him all they want. The bottom line is the dude's got a ring, and the dude, whoever plays with him, is going to break records. Bottom line. And that's not a coincidence. It's just a fact that the dude is that good. And there's some quarterbacks that don't get that level of recognition. And Optimus 9 is one of them. And that's what makes him great, man. He's never a distraction on the team. Look what he does for a coach. If you're a coach, when you have a quarterback that's like, don't worry about it. This is supposed to be a losing season. I'll take care of that. We'll be plus 500. And that's the end of my story right there. Right? That's what Stafford does. He's not a distraction. He doesn't bring the team down. The dude, played his team, got a spinal injury because he was laying it all out there. And look at what he did this year, man. The kid is just fire, man. So to answer your question, I think this is a premier matchup. This is probably the best matchup the NFL could have asked for. And I think the Super Bowl winner is going to come out of the AFC, bottom line.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, Staff, I think he's sealed his ticket into the Hall of Fame. And, what we need out of him next year is that finale, right? One more ring, and the Rams are running it back. That's another episode. But
are we gonna throw out our Niner Lion picks, or is it all default 49ers here?
Oh, good point. We only covered one of the games.
We covered the game that matters.
Yeah, we covered the game that matters. But yeah,
I'll just go real quickly on the 49er Lions game. Real quickly, I'm just going to say it comes down to the Lions offensive line. If they got to keep Goff really clean and finish drives for them to have a chance. But I think it's going to be the 49ers, and I'm picking the 49ers because I've been horrible at picking games. And if I pick them one more time, hopefully I'll be wrong one more time.
Oh, that's not bad juju. I did think real quick summary on it. If Lions play smash mouth football, they're going to have a legitimate chance to beat them. That's how you beat the 49ers. You have to match their style of football, which the Lions do. I'm picking Lions in the upset. I think Jared Goff plays well. The corners I don't think are that great, and I think they do it.
Wow, Ian, look at that.
Taking on beating his former team. I just think their style of football can beat the 49ers. And I'm looking at it. Purdy's solid. I don't think he's that great. I just think Lions do it. I think it's their time. It's their window to get it done before things.
Detroit's got two solid running backs, right? They got two great running backs. Yeah, Ian brings up a good point, right? Running right at the heart of that defense, man. Just wear them out.
That's how you beat the 49ers, man. Same thing, you got to match their physicality and you have a chance. Green Bay was doing it until they wanted to get cute and start doing
Green Bay gave that game away.
Stuff. Yep, and think about our championship, victory over them in, heading to the bowl. Match their physicality, and that's how you can take them out. So I'm picking Lions. Can't pick the 49ers on this spot.
Right, I hope you're right.
Paul, what's your prognostication?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard, but I mean, I'd love to see Goff get another chance to come in second. But I don't. But we'll see.
That's like I just remember that's like the old backhanded compliment.
Yeah, exactly. You see the scars from 2018 still sting, right? But yeah, man. You know what? I'm gonna rock with Ian, man, because I love the ground game, man. I love the ground game. I hope Detroit, can run the ball consistently. I hope they have the moxie to wear it out. I will say this though, lost a lot of respect for the Lions. That those were 4 cheap shots in that Ram game, right? And they were anybody who wants to watch those. There was 4, and the one against Higbee was a cheap shot. So it was purposeful. They were headhunting. They were trying to get the Rams receivers on the sideline. They were trying to. They went that shot on Stafford was a late hit, not just a late hit, a very late hit. Second man in. When it's the second man in, it's purposeful. And I will say that came from the coaching staff. Want a controversy? I said it. It came from the coach.
They're all from the Saints that were part of Bounty Gate. There were a majority of them were on that staff. Let's just keep it real about it. So speaking of conspiracy, yeah. The enemy
I'm all in AFC Super Bowl, baby. I'm all in AFC Super Bowl.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend, and
Lions,
you fit that mold for this week.
I feel like full disclosure, I have another bet I made a long time ago that the Niners wouldn't make the Super Bowl. They wouldn't win, just like that Chiefs bet. A little smaller bet. It was only $200. But so I am rooting heavily for the Lions.
You're probably a really unpopular guy at the craps table. I bet.
Right now, if this turns out to be a Chiefs Niners Super Bowl, I'm going to have to do some, financial finagling with my portfolio, but but to keep it real, it's tough because I obviously rooting for the Lions. I'm always going to root for Goff. I don't, what happened in that game and with their fans and everything else. I just kind of chalk it down to that's what a team does. Let's face it, the Lions, I'll just go Ian with this take, right? Gentlemen, let's face it. The Lions are the only team in the NFL that have had a chance to make the Super Bowl in every Super Bowl year that haven't made the Super Bowl. Like, they're the only ones. Every other team that has had a chance to make it every year has made it at least once. Cleveland couldn't make it every year because they were out of it for 3 years or whatever it was. All the expansion teams, you name it, right? That's the only team that has been around since Super Bowl I that hasn't made the Super Bowl. So let's just give these guys a little bit of like, I don't know about grace, but whatever that is, to like say you're going to act in crazy ways, and maybe they'll, sort of normalize here after a little while, understand how to win. But, it is what it is. So I'm not having a lot of antithesis toward the Lions, and I'm not rooting for Campbell, but, I got a little soft spot for Goff. So, my point is that I'm obviously rooting for the Lions for financial purposes, as well as for Goff purposes, as well as for Rams purposes, as well as for anybody playing the Niners are my second favorite team purposes. But I don't want to hear their crap all off season. Is really,
and to all our young fans out there in Rams Nation, Rams Up does not endorse gambling in any way.
No, yeah, we endorse legal again. We endorse legal gambling. That's who pays the bills sometimes. But anyway, my point is, go Lions, go Tom's bank account. And, that's where I'm at. The problem is that, the strength of the Lions is that offensive line, right? And I mean, this left guard, Jonah Jackson, is out. And whoever the replacement was, I don't even know the guy's name. But this guy gave up, pressures on 30% of the snaps last week. And this guy, so we all know what happens when a core offensive lineman is out. Like Rams fans, do we know what happens from last? And so, yeah.
You start Zach Thomas.
Yeah. You put in a guy that can't play, or so if that's a big issue for me. I mean, people just don't pay attention to offensive line enough. I just, it's all about the stars and the skill positions, but the trenches are where it's at. And who knows who Jonah Jackson is, but you know what? The bettors do. And that's why the Niners are favored by 7.5 in a lot of places. So, well, okay. Mark, as always, appreciate you being the professional host of this podcast and bringing us back to discussing the entire gamut of this week's topics. And so, but we do have to wrap it up here. Great job tonight, everybody. Mark, as always, keeping us grounded. Ian and Paul always bringing some heavy duty opinions and analysis, and really enjoyed it. Good episode, and we'll keep it coming during the Rams off season, right? We have one big story here with the Raheem thing, but I think there's a lot more to come. I mean, Zach Robinson might be gone, right? Well, who's gonna fill into that spot? Yeah. I don't know how big of a deal he was in this scheme, but all stories say that he's going to be the OC, and yet another big talent loss from the Rams coaching staff. But great content and great stuff.
Senior Bowl right around the corner. Ram Nation, look out for our draft prospect preview. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll be getting into that soon.
A couple more draft picks. Thank you, Raheem. Right, that's our parting gift. Not that is any fair compensation, a third round pick, but it's a
well, we do good with third round picks, so that's cool. It's better than second rounders, which we keep missing gift, on.
But we would never trade Raheem for a third round pick. But it is this year and next year. But it is what it is. At least it's a little parting gift. So good stuff. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, and I'm going to end it here. This has been the Rams Up podcast, Rams Roundtable, and thank you for everybody.
All right, see you guys.
Double barrel ram horns, baby.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.